Ladies, let me ask you something straight up. Have you ever said something and your kids or grandkids gave you that look? You know the one. Half smile, half cringe. Well, it might not be you. It could be the words you're using. Today, I'm going to walk you through 12 phrases that might be making you sound, well, a little out of touch. And don't worry, I'll give you modern, graceful alternatives that still feel like you. You've got wisdom. Let's just make sure your words match it. Backhand index pointing, right? Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and comment below. What phrase do you think sounds outdated? I'll be reading all of them. Let's jump in. 1. In my day. This one slips out so easily, doesn't it? In my day, we respected our elders. In my day, we didn't need all these gadgets. It's tempting to start a sentence this way, especially when the world feels so unfamiliar. But the moment those words leave your mouth, the person listening often shuts down. To them, it can sound like you're saying their world, their choices, or even they themselves aren't good enough. But we don't have to choose between our memories and their experiences. Instead of drawing a line between generations, try softening the moment. Say something like, things have changed a lot since I was growing up. How do you see it? You'll still get to share your story, but in a way that invites conversation, not comparison. 2. That's just how it's always been. This phrase has deep roots. We were raised in a time when traditions mattered, rules were followed, and questioning the way things were done wasn't encouraged. But today's world, it thrives on innovation, rethinking, and challenging old norms. So when we say, that's just how it's always been, it can sound like we're clinging to the past out of fear, not wisdom. And let's be honest, how it's always been hasn't always worked for everyone. Instead, say, that's how I learned it, but I'm open to seeing new perspectives. It shows humility, and it signals that we're not stuck, we're evolving. And that is powerful at any age. 3. Young people today just don't get it. This one might feel true some days, like when someone's glued to their phone during dinner or says something that feels completely disconnected from reality. But labeling an entire generation as clueless, that doesn't do us any favors. It builds walls, not bridges. And we need bridges, especially between those who've lived the lessons and those still learning them. Instead, try saying, the world's changed so fast. It's interesting to see how you all are navigating it. That opens the door to understanding rather than shutting it with judgment. And who knows? You might just learn something from them too. For back when we had real music. Oh, how tempting this one is. We hear a mumbling pop song with no melody, and suddenly we're longing for the days of Sinatra, the Supremes, or Fleetwood Mac. But when we say, back when we had real music, it can sound dismissive of what others find meaningful today. It turns a shared love of music into a generational tug-of-war. A better way to approach it is to say, I still adore the soul of Motown, or the poetry of Leonard Cohen. Who are your favorites these days? Now you've shared something about yourself and opened up space to discover what moves them. Music is one of the deepest connectors we have. Let's use it to unite, not divide. 5. I'm too old for that. This phrase may seem harmless, maybe even charming, but repeated often enough, it becomes a cage. I'm too old for social media. I'm too old to learn how to drive a new car. I'm too old to try salsa dancing. What you're really saying is, I've stopped believing in possibility. And that's not who we are. The truth is, age doesn't disqualify us from new experiences. It qualifies us with perspective. Instead of shutting down, say, I've never done that before, but I might just surprise myself. Even if you don't end up doing it, you've kept your spirit open. And that's the real secret to staying young. 6. You're wearing that? Now, this one comes from a good place. We want our daughters, granddaughters, even friends to look and feel their best. But those 4 little words, you're wearing that, can sting. They sound like judgment wrapped in concern. And nothing drives someone away faster than feeling criticized for expressing themselves. Style evolves. Just like we wore bell-bottoms or shoulder pads with pride, today's generation has their own way of showing up in the world. So instead of making them feel small, try curiosity. That's such a bold choice. What inspired it? It starts a conversation instead of shutting one down. And who knows, you might even borrow an idea or two for your own wardrobe. 7. You should settle down. For generations, this was seen as sound advice. Settle down, get married, buy a house, have kids. It was the blueprint. But today's young adults are drawing their own maps. Some want to travel, chase passion projects, build businesses, or simply figure themselves out before putting down roots. So when we say, you should settle down, it can sound like we're imposing a timeline that doesn't fit anymore. And truthfully, not everyone's definition of settled looks the same. Instead of prescribing a path, offer encouragement. Try saying, I just want you to find what makes you feel at peace, whatever that looks like. This lets them know we care about their happiness, not just tradition. 8. Don't talk about money/politics/religion. It's rude. We were taught certain topics were strictly off limits. Keep the peace. Avoid conflict. Don't stir the pot. But times have changed and younger generations are diving headfirst into uncomfortable conversations because they want to understand each other and change what isn't working. If we shut those conversations down with, it's rude, it can sound like we're avoiding the truth, or worse, that we don't care. A better approach. Say, that's a big, complicated topic. I'd love to hear how you see it. You don't have to agree, but by simply listening, you show wisdom that commands real respect. 9. That's not ladylike. The old ladylike standard. Cross your legs, speak softly, smile politely. We lived under these rules for decades. And sure, there's value in grace and dignity. But when we tell a younger woman she's not being ladylike, it can feel like we're policing her voice or shaming her boldness. Let's flip the script. Say, I didn't grow up with that kind of expression, but I admire your confidence. By doing so, we honor both our upbringing and the growth that's come since. Being a lady today isn't about how quiet you are, it's about how fully you show up as yourself. 10. You need to find a nice man. It's usually said with love. We want our daughters, nieces, and granddaughters to be cherished. But this phrase assumes two things that no longer hold true for everyone. That a man is the end goal, and that a woman isn't whole on her own. Many women today are choosing different paths, some with partners, some without. And many are focused on purpose, healing, or self-discovery. Rather than pushing romance, try saying, I hope you find someone or something that brings you true joy. That way, you support their happiness, no matter how it shows up. 11. That's just not how it works. We usually say this when something sounds unrealistic or overly optimistic. Maybe someone wants to switch careers at 35, start a business from their phone, or live in a tiny house. And instinctively, we respond with, that's just not how it works. It sounds practical, but it also crushes creativity. Truth is, the world doesn't work like it used to. New paths are being carved every day. Instead of shutting the door, say, that's new to me. Tell me more about how that works. You show openness while still bringing the weight of your wisdom to the table. And who knows? You might be inspired too. 12. You're too sensitive. This phrase cuts deep. It tells someone that their emotions are wrong, that they're broken for feeling. We say it when we don't understand their reaction or when we feel uncomfortable ourselves. But telling someone they're too sensitive doesn't make them stronger. It makes them smaller. Try this instead. I didn't realize that came across that way. Thank you for telling me. That one shift changes the entire tone. It turns a moment of tension into a moment of growth. And it shows emotional maturity that never goes out of style.